Well, yes, we've had the kind of game that's come to be identified with the idea of the IPL for the last 7 years. The Rajasthan Royals have pulled off a heist in Bangalore. Before I even go to Shishir Hattangadi, that scorecard is worth reflecting on. The Rajasthan Royals winning by 5 wickets in Bangalore, and they won a game in which they had absolutely no business to, because at one point, over number 13.3, Shish, they were 106 for 5. And they won with an over and a ball to spare. And
no over number 17 and 18, Gaurav, that changed the game. 20 odd runs in each over. 1 over from Stark, and then Dinda just sealed the game for Rajasthan.
Dinda and Aaron, actually.
I'm sorry, Dinda and Aaron, and that changed it just sealed the game. And when you look at the game, you say, wow, this is something you wait late night to watch, and a good comeback by RCB, and Rajasthan finishing it with 1 over to spare. So actually a emphatic win by them, with all that happened in between. This seemed a pretty easy game.
Sometimes we say in cricket that one team dominates a game for 85% of it, yet ends up losing it. The points table, and this is why this blow is devastating for the Royal Challengers Bangalore, because they've now lost twice as many games, Shish, as they've won. They're now on 6 points, and really, even if they now realistically only have a chance if they string together a 5-match winning streak, and this is their 3rd straight loss.
And 5-match winning streak hopefully will come when Gale and Virat Kohli strike form, because otherwise in the batting department today you saw what Yuvraj can do when he doesn't play to survive in an innings.
Yes.
When he plays to just go after the bowling. All this time he's been trying to survive, and with Gale failing, I mean it's a huge dent in their batting order. The first 6 overs were a waste of time, really, and this is something that, I mean, you can talk about it, but it's up to Gale to sort out, because if he doesn't, then they could be seen there in the bottom of the table for a while now.
In fact, let's just actually try and tell you the story of the game, because for everything that went wrong, for large portions, things went right for the Royal Challengers Bangalore. This compares the two Manhattans, and if you look at the Rajasthan chase now, Shish, it's those last 2 overs. Let's look at the combatants in these situations. Did Ashok Dinda get it horribly wrong, or did he just run into a very skilled Steve Smith?
He got it wrong, and it was precipitated by the fact that Steve Smith just went after him. He didn't know where to bowl, honestly. And we talk about bowling good lengths and right lengths, but this was a case of just complete murder. And then he bowled that no ball, which was hit for a 6.
Yes.
So that would have probably brought out everything in the Rajasthan Royals in terms of confidence, to know that they were on the right track to win this. That over from Dinda to me was as bad as it gets.
48 in 21 balls for Steve Smith, if I'm not mistaken. 4 hits to the fence, 4 over it. This was a player Australia couldn't fit into their World T20 team.
And today we can talk of him as in Australia's most improved batsman.
Yes.
Somebody who was struggling to make it into the Test team today seems a certainty. I mean, you take Steve Smith's name in every Australian team, and that's something that I think the IPL has a lot to do with, because he came here, he showed his skills. He's respected by franchisees, he's been pursued by franchisees, and look what he's done in Australian cricket. And today we saw a glimpse of his highly talented one-day T20 batting.
Wasn't a lone act though, because also Jimmy Faulkner, and no surprises there. One, he was a retained player, Shish, but also someone who's done things of this nature in India before. We remember that one-day series, and yet again, look at those numbers, 17 balls for a 41 not out. It was almost as if there was an assurance at that point that we'll get this done no matter how deep it gets.
And I think Rajasthan Royals expect this from him. They keep him, hold him back till the end. They also know that, in a crisis situation, and in T20 crisis is when you need about 17 to 20 runs and over. They know that Steve Smith and Faulkner are 2 players who can deliver for them. And look who's sitting out, Brad Hodge. I mean, he's capable player too, isn't he? But this is the way it is, and they've managed to use Faulkner so beautifully in the last couple of years that today we saw why they have so much faith in him.
We've talked about the Rajasthan Royals. I wish we could, I hope we can just reiterate that points table once more, because it actually gives Rajasthan some breathing space. There was, there was some guys snapping at their heels a little bit, and now Rajasthan with 12 points, twice the number of wins than losses, actually get into prime position for one of those last 4 spots, Shish.
Yeah, and this win, again, it will redeem them in confidence, because the last game was a bit of a dampener.
Yes.
They couldn't chase well. it was just one of those games where, you know, they had to get a victory to just shrug off, and that's what they've done. And now they look pretty comfortable. You know, it can change fast, but tonight they'll be sleeping much better.
Okay, we've spoken a lot about this game, but in many ways the hero of the game was Yuvraj Singh. It's unfortunate he ends up on the wrong end of the result. We've been waiting for this Yuvraj Singh to show up. Some of the batting was a blast from the past.
Absolutely, and you know, Gaurav, as watchers of the game, as analyzing a game, you feel you could trade a loss to Yuvraj's form. We are not a part of the team, so it's okay to say that. But today what we saw of Yuvraj was, you know, not survival. It was just going and getting the runs. All this time we've seen him trying to survive, play himself in. I don't think that's his game. Today we saw that he can, you know, he was like a caged tiger. There's no way out. I mean, he had to go out and score the runs, and look at that performance. I mean, this is 83,
38 balls. And what you may actually, just to elaborate the point you're making, Shish, he comes in at 40 for 3 in the 8th over. So they've not had the greatest of starts. They've lost Kohli cheaply. They've also lost the new boy Vijay Zol, who's come in, Gale, of course. And he doesn't potter around like we've seen Yuvraj. He actually flowers in that situation.
And why does he not potter around? We spoke about it in the pre-show. This is a kind of bowling attack that he would have liked, you know. This is something to get him back into form. Not too many at the throat, you know, the bowler slowing it up. And 83 runs, I mean, couple of leg spinners bowling to him. So all in all, a friendly attack by his standards, you know, nobody pushing him on the back foot. I think now we will probably see a more confident Yuvraj. I'm not sure he'll be as consistent, but certainly much more confident. 4 wickets and 83 in a T20 game. Can he do better than that?
Yeah,
I don't think so.
This is not the first time he's done it. AB de Villiers as well, their creditable performance and a beautiful shot for 6 that will stick in memory, especially the response he had to it. 4 wickets and a half century. Since Shish put our stats team on the line, we've actually got those numbers up for you. Guess what? Mr. Singh is on that list a couple of times. He's done it once for the Pune Warriors. Other man to have done it was Kyron Pollard of Mumbai and a certain Paul Valtati from the Kings 11 Punjab. This is across IPLs, 7 seasons. That's how rare it was what we saw today.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's built his brand equity as a T20 player. I mean, sometimes you can question the amount of money and all that, but there's a method in picking somebody like him, you know. He's done it in the past. He's capable of picking up wickets and changing games with the bat. I mean, today if they had one, we'd all be saying, my God, this is a comeback. This is the prodigal son returning home, you know. He's done everything right. And I feel bad for him that, you know, he hasn't been able to win the game, but boy, he'll sleep well today. You won't get a better sleeping Yuvraj than tonight.
Yes, well, let's hope so. I mean, and it's always great to watch Yuvraj Singh in form. We are wrapping this conversation up, but because you've been in these situations, I want to understand this from the owner's point of view. They started it well this IPL. RCB won 2 games in the Middle East. Now, how irate are the owners?
Very. I think don't want to be in the owner's room tonight, and you know, he'll have a few things to say. And I think sometimes it's justified, you know, when you bank on a couple of players to help you win a tournament, and believe me, they haven't won, so he'll be ambitious, he'll be wanting it. The desire to win the tournament will be more than anything, and at the moment I don't see them, you know, going qualifying for the top 4 unless other teams do badly and they really push themselves now. And that is something, you know, he's paid a lot of money. He didn't have money to buy players. You know, at the end of the day, after buying Yuvraj, he was struggling to buy players. That must be hurting him more than anything. And the fact that Gale is not firing. I mean, who would have thought in a T20 game you'll find Gale getting out in the slip, caught behind, you know, struggling in a T20 game. That's something he's dominated over the years. This is one odd season, I think. I hope he comes back to form for the sake of this team and the owners.